Hello and welcome to News Central TV. I'm Darshan Usman. The top stories this hour. Labour Party kicks as Supreme Court set aside judgment recognizing Abure as national chairman. Counter-Terrorism Center rescues kidnapped former NYSC DG, 18 others. Senegal president wants over Africa nation's finances. Details of these stories and more coming up shortly. We begin with judicial matters, where the Supreme Court has set aside the judgment of the Court of Appeal in Abuja recognizing Julius Abure as the national chairman of the Labour Party. In a unanimous judgment, a 5-member panel of the Apex Court held that the Court of Appeal lacked the jurisdiction to have pronounced Abure national chairman of the Labour Party after finding out earlier that the substance of the case was about the party's leadership. The Apex Court held that the issue of leadership was an internal affair of a party over which the court lacked jurisdiction. Now, the court further allowed the appeal filed by Senator Nenadi Usman and one other and held that it was meritorious. It also proceeded to dismiss the cross-appeal filed by the Abure group of the Labour Party for being unmeritorious. Reacting to this development, the Julius Abure-led Labour Party has refuted this purported removal as national chairman of the Supreme Court. Now, in a statement by the National Publicity Secretary of the party, Abayomi Arabambi, the party described the information as fake news. The statement said what transpired in court is as follows. Supreme Court strikes out Nenadi Abure's suits, says that only political parties can determine who their leaders are. It also said that the court shouldn't dabble into the affairs of political parties, adding that the Supreme Court struck out the suit at the trial court and also that of the Court of Appeal. Our News Central correspondent Joshua Marai joins us to give an update on this. Hello, Joshua. Thank you for joining us. Hello, Joshua. Now, speak to us, about what the Supreme Court's decision means for the future of Julius Abure's leadership in the Labour Party.
Well, for Julius Abure, the only pillar holding him back as the national chairman of the party is the appeal court ruling affirming his leadership as the national chairman of the party. As we speak now, this morning, the Supreme Court ruled otherwise and said that that particular ruling by the appeal court has been set aside. This means that the party should go back to its internal mechanism to set out clear ground lines to solve all the dispute that is affecting the party now. So it is now the sole prerogative of the party to determine who is the national chairman of the party through a national convention.
Now, speaking about this, as you say, looking at the internal ongoing crisis, within the Labour Party, how do you think that this Supreme Court ruling, will affect the party's unity moving forward?
Well, it is clear, the Supreme Court ruling is clear that the party itself should settle its own dispute by himself. And now, you recall that sometime in September 2024, they held an emergency meeting in Umahia in Abia State, and a 29-man committee, caretaker committee, was inaugurated. And the chairman of that committee happens to be the former finance minister, Nenadi Usman. And in that 29-member committee, there are several persons who have been nominated to serve in various capacities in that 29-member committee. There are some senators. That is speaking about Senator Neda Imaswe, Senator Ireti Kinjibe, as well as the governor of Abia State, Governor Oti, as well as all those people who have been elected under the umbrella of the Labour Party. They've been saddled with this responsibility to the national caretaker committee to see to resolve the leadership dispute of the Labour Party, and they've done that. Now, you recall that before the advent of Julius Abure, there was a national chairman who actually was deceased in 2020. Now, following that, they had to fill that vacuum, and Julius Abure, who is the National Executive Council chairman, was elected. Now, before then, there was already a crisis on the appealing crisis that was supposed to be resolved, Justice Gabriel Kolawole in 2018 particularly, ordered that before a year, all the issues within the internal issues within the Labour Party should be settled, and they should do that through a national convention. That is, they have to constitute, before a national convention could hold, they have to constitute a meeting at the world level, from the world level down to the local government level, then down to the state level, before a national convention can emerge. Now, that particular resolution was applauded by INEC in 2022, who agreed to use that as a mechanism to settle all beefs or conflict within the party. But now, the reason why that September 2024 emergency meeting was held in Umuahia was because, according to the Labour Party and according to the faction of Senator Nenada Usman, was that Julius Abude failed to employ such mechanism to hold a legal national convention that is supposed to hold from the world level down to the state level, to the local level, local government level, and down to the state level before a national convention should hold. That is why they inaugurated that 29-member committee with Nenadi Usman being the caretaker committee chairman. Now, the whole bone of contention lies within the party. That is, the party should settle all assembly, and they've done that from that emergency meeting they had in Umuahia in September 2024.
Absolutely. Joshua, thank you so much for giving us that update.
It's a pleasure.
And now we'll move away from that. The recent judgment by the Edo State Election Petitions Court has continued to generate reactions as some members of the People's Democratic Party have voiced concerns over the dismissal of the petition by the PDP candidate Asue Ighodalo. Now, they reject the position of the court, which claims that the evidence submitted by the PDP was not properly addressed, despite their legal team fulfilling all requirements necessary to prove their alleged case of overvoting and non-compliance with the 2022 Electoral Act. Our correspondent, Joshua Imarai, has more details from Abuja.
Fresh reactions are beginning to trail the judgment on the Edo Election Petitions Court, led by Justice Wilfred Buchi, following the recent court ruling. People's Democratic Party stalwart Okpede Isiaka responded to the verdict, which upheld that the petitioners failed to provide sufficient evidence to substantiate claims of overvoting during the election.
The PDP had tendered certified true copies of the Beavers extract. The Beavers extracts are testimonies of the Beavers machine. So whatever was in the Beavers machine was in the Beavers extract given to us by INEC. So we didn't need to tender Beavers machines in court. We just did that to show proof that this is the machines from where we got the Beavers extract.
One of the witnesses who also testified before the tribunal alleged that the incident of overvoting and non-compliance occurred at the world level.
What we have done, even when it was certified, the Beavers, the IRF, and the results, it was certified. We have them before the court. And we went further to substantiate and give flesh to our claims by calling some witnesses, of which I was one of them. The fraud or the mistake on the part of the INEC was done not at the unit level, but at the collecting or rack centers.
However, legal expert Nika Bariana reacted to the claims of the petitioners.
If you are calling people as witnesses in a matter, if it is something that is capable of being seen, the witnesses who should be called should be people who say they saw it. If it is something that is capable of being heard, the people who should be called as witnesses should be those who say they heard it. The tribunal said that people who were called, some of them were presiding officers of the wards, not of the units where the alleged infractions took place.
He also provides more insight into the implication of the judgment.
Again, if you want to allege that, okay, so votes meant for you were cancelled, the question is, if those votes that claim is meant for you are given back to you, will it change the overall results? If the answer is no, the decision of the court will not go in your favor. So people should concentrate on the facts.
As conversations continue over the outcome of the Edo State Election Petitions Tribunal judgment, stakeholders within the PDP says that the legal battle is far from over. While the tribunal has spoken loud and clear, Attention now shifts to the next step the petitioners may take in the quest for electoral justice. In Abuja for News Central, I am Joshua Imarayi.
Now, away from that, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has described viral reports claiming that he collapsed in the course of his duties and was flown to France for emergency treatment as false, malicious, and mischievous. The minister, during an inspection of projects and bridges under construction in Abuja, says that those responsible tried to distract Nigerians from the true events ongoing in Rivers State following revelations by the former head of service of the state over plans by the former governor Siminalayi Fubara to unleash mayhem on critical assets of the federal government. He says that he is in good health and he has never felt better since his appointment as minister.
I don't want to give credence to people who are only interested in carrying rumors. First of all, the human being, it is not a ghost that will collapse. It's human beings that will collapse if there is any problem with their health. Unfortunately, I did not collapse. I didn't share this side that I had any health problems. Let me tell you what happened. What happened was that you see that the former head of service of Kwara State Government came out to let the public know what was going on. We had a plan to bomb the House Assembly complex, and had a plan to attack national assets. They wanted to divert attention from people not focusing on that. They have to bring one rumor that they have been flown overseas. There was another time I collapsed, another time anybody took me to. I thank Nigerians for being really worried that this should be, but people should not wish their fellow human beings such a thing to happen. We know that we will die one day. Nobody will remain in this world forever.
Now, in Kogi Central Senatorial District, constituents have expressed their gratitude to the Independent National Electoral Commission for validating 208,132 signatures, which accounts for 43.86% of registered voters in the petition submitted for the recall of suspended lawmaker Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. While the petitioners had initially mobilized more than the required 50% plus one threshold of registered voters, the validation of 43.86% was seen as confirmation that Kogi Central constituents no longer support the embattled senator. In a statement released on Thursday and signed by Salihu Habib on behalf of the petitioners, they reiterated their commitment to recalling Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan. The petitioners also thanked INEC for dispelling doubts about the authenticity of their signatures. They emphasized that the recall, driven by accusations of misconduct and divisiveness, remains non-negotiable. We'll take a break now. When we come back, we'll tell you how NSA receives former NYSC DG Tsiga and 18 other kidnapped victims, that were rescued. Details of this and more after the break. To security matters, the National Counter-Terrorism Center has successfully handed over Maharazu Tsiga, the former Director General of the National Youth Service Corps, NYSC, and 18 other individuals who were rescued from kidnappers. Now, the handover took place in Abuja and is seen as a crucial moment in the nation's ongoing battle against rising insecurity and kidnapping. Tsiga was abducted on February 5th, 2025 from his hometown in Katsina State and was freed after spending 56 days in captivity. The operation was part of a larger effort to combat criminal activities plaguing the country. During the ceremony, National Security Advisor Nuhu Radu praised the security forces and intelligence agencies for their swift and effective actions, and he assured Nigerians that while significant progress had been made, efforts would continue to pursue the criminals responsible. Chief of Defense Staff General Christopher Musa also reiterated that the military will not rest until every Nigerian is safe. Both officials promised to hold perpetrators accountable and maintain ongoing efforts to secure the nation. The Defense Headquarters says that it has rescued 16 kidnapped victims in the northwest zone of the country following intense military operations against terrorists. The Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Marcus Kangye, while giving an operational update to newsmen in Abuja, says that troops, while conducting fighting patrols, also neutralized terrorists, dismantling their operations and recovering a large cache of arms and ammunition. He says that similar successes was also recorded in the northeast, where troops repelled an ambush by terrorists, neutralizing several of their combatants.
Troops of Operation Fansanyama recorded the following during the week. Between 27 March and 1st April, they conducted 40 patrols and made contact with terrorists in Isa and Sabonbrini local government areas of Sokoto State, as well as Kankara local government area of Katsina State. During the encounters, some terrorists were neutralized while 16 kidnapped victims were rescued. Some automatic and locally fabricated weapons, as well as assorted quantities of 7.62mm ammunition, motorcycles were also recovered. Similarly, on 27th March, troops while on fighting patrol came under terrorist attack in Maiduguri Metropolitan Municipal Council. The troops successfully repelled the attack and neutralized several of them. They also recovered some weapons.
Still talking security, the Delta State Police Command has exhumed the remains of late Chigozie Udalu, a 38-year-old site engineer who was murdered by some workers at the construction sites of offices, poultry and fish ponds in Akuku-Igbo, Oshimili North local government area of the state. News Central correspondent Austin Azu, who covered the exhumation, reports that some of the suspects have been arrested by the police and are undergoing further investigation. This report contains gory images and viewer discretion is advised.
The family of the late Chigozie Udalu, who has been grappling with uncertainty regarding the 38-year-old engineer's whereabouts since December 10, 2023, when he departed home to manage an ongoing fish farm project at Akuku-Igbo, Oshimili North local government area of Delta State. Though the matter was subsequently reported to the Akuku-Igbo Police Division, where the police swiftly commenced a thorough investigation into the circumstances surrounding Chigozie's disappearance. 4 months later, the police are here at the ongoing construction site of the offices, poultry and fish ponds project in Akuku-Igbo, after the arrest of some principal suspects and confession to the killing of Chigozie, to exhume his remains, where he was buried in a shallow grave by the wall of one of the fish ponds projects. Inside the site, he was supervising as a site engineer. PPRO of the Delta State Police Command, Bright Idafe, said some of the fleeing suspects were arrested through tracking and confessed to having used a hammer to burst Chigozie's skull, killing him and burying him in a shallow grave.
They tied this young man, they used the hammer and smashed his head and buried him at a shallow grave at the same site where he's working. Now, this Chigozie Udalo, who happens to be the site manager, employed these boys. Chigozie, he employed these 4 suspects, David Osio, Victor Tacho, David Tacho, and one Piles, to work for him.
The project owner, who narrated how he was accused of using his late brother Chigozie for money rituals, lamented how insecurity in Nigeria has stopped many young Nigerians from investing in agriculture.
Because at the time I lose hope and say that my brother has been missing for up to 4 months, and so I didn't know if he's alive or dead, but I'm just struggling to recover. Even if he's a dead body, I say, let me just carry it to the village and prove my innocence. So today, we have discovered the dead body and also arrested the people that murdered him and buried him.
Father of the late Chigozie Udalun, who expressed grief over the painful death of his son, said he was a pillar in the family. The 2 out of the 4 persons arrested, identified as principal suspects, further speak about their level of involvement in the killing of Chigozie.
As the man enter site, he go where that fish pan dey. I something tell me say me I come carry him phone for house. Come before I come. Now rope now I see them for neck. Don't hold his neck. But I see them. But they have a way to talk. I don't see them for bed. Now rope now I see.
So why they got to bury him?
Now for back, as them bury him for back.
Wait, where you doing when they bury him?
I did this, sir.
They say the money is in the money point, so I downloaded the app. I tried to withdraw the money for them, but I could not.
This was the shallow grave that Lake Chigozie was buried. And of course, the bag you are seeing here contains the remains of Chigozie. We are informed that Chigozie has 3 children and his wife is heavily pregnant. And in a few days' time, she's expected to give birth to the child. And the child will come into the world without knowing his father. In Akuku Igbo for News Central, Austin Azu.
Quite a heartbreaking story there, Austin. Now, we still move on from that. The Police Service Commission has removed Mrs. Betty Enekman Isokman Otimei as the Commissioner of Police in charge of Edo State Command. She was removed as Commissioner of Police in the state due to the killing of 16 travelers in Uromi, Ishan Northeast Local Government Area of Edo State on March 27, 2025. The PSC appointed Monday Agbonika as her replacement. Betty Otimei was appointed as the 49th CP of the state on January 16, 2025. She took over from CP Peter Umoru Ozigi at his retirement on January 25, 2025. A statement by the Commission's head of press and public relations, Ike Chukwani, said that the new Commissioner of Police, Monday Agbonika, was until his deployment to Edo State, the Commissioner of Police, Mounted Troop Force, Equitation Officer, Force Headquarters Abuja. The new CP was also advised to look into the issues surrounding the recent killings in the state. Still on insecurity, the 2023 presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, has expressed deep concern over the recent spate of attacks in Bokos local government area of Plateau State. He lamented the incident where several communities were thrown into mourning following the recent killing of entire families. Obi condemned the incident, which affected 5 communities in Bokos, Mongur, Tamiso, Dafo, Monguna, Hurti, and Tadai, saying that the victims, including children and pregnant women, were buried in mass graves. He questioned the growing trend of violence across the country, wondering why such killings have become normalized. Obi called on the government and security agencies to take decisive action to stop the killings and ensure that perpetrators are brought to justice. News Central correspondent Chizoba Anyonwe joins us to speak more on this. Hello, Chizoba. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
All right. So, what more can you tell us, or what more have you learned about, the killings in Bokos local government area?
Well, it's also a sad one again. That Plateau is seemingly going back to what it's known for in some months past, because for some time now, everybody has seen Plateau to be enjoying some relative peace, where all those killings were seen to be like in those days, only for us to wake up again in recent time and start hearing of all these killings, shootings, naming, and all those. Well, this, according to security agencies, in fact, I just left the office of the commander of Operation Operation Rainbow in the state. That's an independent security outfit in the state. Brigadier General Gagtushiki retired. And he is saying that this is unprovoked. This particular incident is unprovoked. There was no ruffling of cow that used to be one of the major engineers of those attacks in the past. There was no killing of any cattle. There was no land grabbing. There was no destruction of farmland. Of course, it's not even farming season yet. And so everybody is worried why this kind of situation would come up and take this toll. And for the casualty figures, he said he has still gathering details, and so he hasn't put anything at the casualty figure. He also said arrests have been made by security agencies, and some of them, of course, are undergoing interrogation to give a leadway to what actually caused this incident. But we may not also take away the fact that a few weeks ago, the governor placed a ban on illegal mining activities in the state on the Executive Order 001. And there were fears, actually, when this enforcement was declared by the governor, Caleb Mutfwang, that it may give rise to criminality such as this, since these people will be taking off what they were doing, despite the fact that it is illegal, So, but nothing happened at that point. But recently, we did pockets of killings here and there, and then this massive one, permit me to use that word, many are now pointing fingers at that executive order by the governor that it may be one of the reasons behind all these killings. But for him, that is General Gattushipi retired, the commander of Operation Rainbow in the state. He is not seeing it as any of such ethno-religious incidences, Rather, he sees it as pure acts of criminality by those who do not want peace to reign in Plateau State. But actually, it's such a sad one. Plateau is indeed mourning.
Well, it's quite a sad incident, because I do remember a report you did recently on how peace and calm has been restored to Plateau State, after a very long time. Well, thank you so much, Chizoba, for giving us that update.
Thank you for having me.
Away from that, the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, has inaugurated a joint committee for the hosting of the inaugural Africa Chiefs of Defense Staff Summit for 2025. The Defense Chief, during the ceremony in Abuja, urged the committee to ensure that the hosting of the event is grand, remarkable, and reflective of Nigeria's status as a powerhouse in Africa. He says that the summit, which will bring together military leaders from across the continent, will serve as a platform to exchange ideas and ensure that the challenges of insecurity affecting the continent are effectively tackled.
This task requires collective effort beyond the committee. I urge you to engage relevant agencies, units, and individuals whose contributions will be instrumental to the success of the summit. Effective communication and feedback mechanism must be established to ensure seamless coordination. While necessary support will be provided, you must also demonstrate efficiency, adaptability, and proactive problem solving in addressing challenges that may arise. Security must remain a top priority in your plans, as we cannot afford lapses that could lead to embarrassment or allow criminal elements to exploit the occasion. A robust security framework is essential to guarantee the safety of all participants and a means to showcase Nigeria as a secure and welcome host nation.
We count on the support of indeed the defense headquarters and the services to make this a success. This is another brilliant idea from the table of the Chief of Defense Staff, and it's my humble opinion that it's all about time that African defense chiefs begin to speak to themselves. And this creates the platform for this to begin. And so, sir, on behalf of the members, we want to pledge our commitment to the development and to assure you that we do our utmost best to make it an outstanding outing.
As part of the ongoing National Police Week celebrations, the Nigerian Police Force has vowed to reduce crime rates by 50% across the country. Now, the announcement came during a crucial town hall meeting with Borno state communities held in Maiduguri, which aimed to address the growing security concerns in the region. We'll bring you the story later. Now let's also move to Lagos, where the Minister of Works, David Umahi, has ordered the reopening of the Independence Bridge on Victoria Island, Lagos, stating that its rehabilitation should not take longer than 3 days in the first instance. His statement stood at variance with earlier remarks by Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, who said that the bridge will remain closed for weeks pending the completion of repairs.
Controller did that on her own, and it's very unfortunate because for a bridge to be closed, especially in Lagos, as you know, it's been the tradition. I should be informed as the minister, and we should also have studied the implication of it, even though it's an emergency situation. We would have deployed emergency evaluation of the implication of closing the bridge. Was there any other thing we would have done? And then while we take time to do the proper work. So what we are doing now is to restore the bridge temporarily within the next 3 days. By Sunday, this place will be totally open. And then after 2 weeks, we'll look at the settlement. And then we will take out 3 days to put the permanent structure. That is what we're going to do.
To health matters, a growing shortage of nurses and midwives is one of the most pressing issues in Africa as skilled healthcare professionals migrate to developed countries, leaving many parts of the continent vulnerable. At the 28th Nigerian Union of Nursing Students Association Annual General Assembly held at the Lagos University Teaching Hospital, healthcare experts and stakeholders discussed ways to tackle this crisis. News Central's Omolola Ololade has more in this report.
In Nigeria, nursing plays a pivotal role in delivering healthcare services while improving health outcomes. However, the profession faces significant challenges, including inadequate resources, limited professional development opportunities, and infrastructure deficiencies. It is on this premise that the Nigerian University's Nursing Students Association, at a press briefing, brought to the fore some of the inherent challenges facing the profession while discussing practical solutions for sustainable health care in the country.
Why government is trying to solve that disadvantage of trying to create more schools. But the more you create, the more there are opportunity for people to jackpot. But I want to tell you that one of the advantages is that these same people that have jackpot are also thinking of already coming back to help the institution.
And apart from that, we want to address some of the challenges affecting the nursing profession, like the issue of quackery in the nursing profession. I'm sure we are aware of this, that we have a lot of untrained people disguising as nurses and causing a lot of problems in our society. So we are going to be sensitizing the communities about this.
While the country faces a shortage of skilled workers due to the exodus of nurses, stakeholders believe the government plays a huge role in improving nurses' welfare and helping them render selfless services to their patients.
If they make available all the things that we need to manage our patients, people will stay. And of course, I've also said it, they should also improve our profession too. People should develop themselves. They should have policies in place that will make people to progress. They must highlight our progression, and when people know that, oh, they have a way to follow, and then they will get to the top. Of course, they will wait.
Quackery is another major challenge facing the nursing profession in Nigeria, hence the need for strict policies to salvage reputation while reducing the havoc caused by quacks.
They can be abolished. Principles, rules, policies backed by political will. Intentional principles by political will phase out nurses for the love of the country.
Experts, however, advocate advanced roles for nurses to expand their scope of practice, increasing patient care outcomes, revolutionizing the nursing profession and improving Nigeria's healthcare system, among others. In Lagos for News Central, Omolola Ololade.
The news returns after the break. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. Now, we now have breaking news where we'll be going live to the Federal Capital Territory, where the new board of the NNPCL is being constituted. Remember that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu recently approved a reconstitution of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, that's the NNPCL, that's the board, removing the chairman, Chief Pius Akinyelure, and the group chief executive officer, Malam Mele Kolo Kiari. The new 11-man board has Engineer Bashir Bayo Ojulari as the group CEO and also Amadou Musa Kida as non-executive chairman. Now we have News Central correspondent Aishat Salihu on standby to give us an update on this.
Thank you so much, Dashan. Just like you have rightly stated earlier, there is currently they're convening a board meeting. It's ongoing at the moment, and this is following a change of leadership, just like you have said, at the board level and also the management level. Although we have not been able to gain access into the premises of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, but information that we have on ground at the moment has it that there will be a handover ceremony to the new board members and also, all of the members at the board level. And just like you stated earlier, that is what we have at the moment, but we hope to also bring you up to speed on that development when that handover ceremony would be happening if you stay with us.
So when is the handover ceremony likely to happen?
It is expected to happen later today. We're still following the details of this particular development. We are following them right up to where they are going to be convening that handover ceremony.
Okay. Well, I think the best thing to do at this time is to reach back, get back to you when you have more information on this. Thank you so much, Aisha. And now we move away from Nigeria, where Senegal's President Bassirou Diomaye Faye has warned in his annual State of the Nation speech that the country faces a tough financial future that would need sacrifices. Faye spoke after authorities and the International Monetary Fund said the previous government had underestimated the West African nation's debt levels. He said collective sacrifices would be needed, but added that Senegal very capable and will succeed with mobilization of everyone. Faye called for active solidarity to confront the numerous challenges facing the country, but said that budget discipline is not negotiable.
J'appelle donc chacune et chacun à faire preuve de résilience, de solidarité active et d'engagement patriotique face aux défis nombreux et complexes qui se dressent sur notre chemin. L'état des finances publiques de notre pays, tel que révélé par l'audit effectué, nous impose de compter d'abord sur nous-mêmes pour redresser la situation. Nous en sommes bien capables et nous le réussirons avec la mobilisation de toutes et de tous. En effet, l'histoire des nations nous enseigne que le chemin du développement nécessite des sacrifices collectivement consentis afin que des lendemains meilleurs puissent advenir. Dans ce contexte marqué par la rareté des ressources, seule la discipline budgétaire, qui n'est pas négociable, nous permettra d'engager avec confiance le redressement indispensable de nos comptes publics.
Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni has arrived in South Sudan after the arrest of Vice President Riek Machar heightened fears of a return to civil war. Machar was detained last week by forces loyal to President Salva Kiir as international observers expressed concern over recent clashes between forces loyal to the two men, and the United Nations urged dialogue. The tensions threaten a 2018 peace deal which ended a 5-year civil war that killed around 400,000 people in the world's youngest nation. Museveni is the first head of state to visit South Sudan since Machar's arrest and said that he had traveled at the South Sudanese president's invitation. Museveni's arrival follows that of African Union mediators who landed in the capital Juba on Wednesday for talks with Kir, according to the South Sudanese presidency.
Also, we briefed the President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni of Uganda and the accompanying delegation about the security situation in South Sudan and the status of implementation of peace agreement, and we assure them that South Sudan government, we are very committed for the implementation of the security arrangement. Tomorrow also he will meet other South Sudanese officials here in Juba.
We have had a cordial meeting touching on issues between our two governments, which are of mutual benefit between the two governments.
The news returns after the break. And now we move to sports, where hosts Nigeria Customs Service started their African Women's Volleyball Cup Championship campaign with a dominant 3-0 win over Mayor KE of Cameroon in Abuja. NCS took the first set 25-18, showcasing strong teamwork and sharp court movement. They maintained their momentum in the second set, winning 25-17 with solid defense and crowd support boosting their performance. In the final set, Nigeria secured a tight 25-22 win, sealing the straight set victory in front of a cheering home crowd that included the First Lady and Controller General. The game, scheduled for 4 p.m., started at 7 p.m. Due to a delayed opening ceremony. 16 teams are competing in this year's edition. Delta State's Favour Ashe lived up to expectation as she clinched gold in the men's 100-meter final at the ongoing Niger Delta Sports Festival in Uyo. The 22-year-old Olympian, who represented Nigeria at Paris 2024, stormed to victory in 10:16 seconds, marking his season opener in style. Ashe outpaced Bielsa's Lucky Daje 10:45 seconds and Augustine Ezurike 10:48 seconds, who settled for silver and bronze respectively. Now, the national sprint star recently signed with the Oregon Ducks for his NCAA senior year, and he was thrilled to begin the season on a winning note. Ashe said post-race, affirming his status as the fastest man in the Niger Delta, that he was glad to hit his target time. Team Delta began the athletics event at the Niger Delta Sports Festival in Uyo on High, claiming gold in both men's and women's 100 meters final. Well, that's all at this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of our top stories. We told you that Labour Party kicks as Supreme Court sets aside judgment recognizing Abure as national chairman. We also told you that Counterterrorism Center has rescued kidnapped former NYSC DG and 18 others. We also told you that Senegal president has issued warning over African nations' finances. All right, Israel, we'll definitely come back to you as we do not have your audio. We apologize for that. And now remember, you may send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen. Do follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, GoTV channel 23, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I'm Darshan.